but it's a big state. And
no volunteers if they don't have a ticket.
you didn't have GPS back then, and I didn't have Marine One. So I'd be driving myself. Sometimes I'd have staff who would make me make phone calls while I was driving, and which is you're not supposed to do anymore. And since I didn't have GPS, we had those maps. We actually had to fold. Young people wouldn't understand this, but you'd have to fold them back. And I did lost. And then once I got to the event, I had to park the car myself. Sometimes I couldn't find a parking spot. So I ended up being late. If it was raining, I'd have to fumble with my umbrella. I come in kind of drenched. But I have such good memories about those campaigns because what inspired me, wherever I went, I'd be in inner cities or rural communities, you see folks from every walk of life, rich, poor, urban, suburban, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, gay, straight, you name it. Wherever we went, there'd be a common thread to people's stories. So I'd meet an elderly veteran, and he'd remind me of my grandfather, who fought World War II. This is a man who grew up during the Depression, served his country, and when he came home, was rewarded with a chance to go to college on the GI Bill. My grandmother, while my grandfather was gone, already had my mom, was a baby, and was Rosie the River. She worked on box assembly plants. And when they married, after my grandfather came back, they were able to get a home with the help of an FHA loan. And if I met a working couple, I think about Michelle's parents, especially her dad, who almost never missed a day of work at the water filtration plant where he worked, blue collar job. Even though he had MS, so he needed 2 canes to walk, and he had to wake up an hour earlier than everybody else just to punch in on time. But he wouldn't miss work. And Michelle's mom worked as a secretary. But even though they didn't have a lot, they were able to support a family. And Michelle and her brother ended up getting a great education, be able to go as far as their dreams would take. And then I'd meet a single mom somewhere, and I think about my own mom, who raised me, my sister and me, with the help of my grandparents, because my dad left when I was a baby. My mom didn't have a lot of money, but she worked hard. And she went to school at the same time as she worked, all so that she could give her 2 kids the best education possible. And so the people that I meet in these campaigns, these early campaigns of mine, and what I've experienced ever since as I travel around the country is that as different as those folks seemed on the surface, despite having all these different backgrounds, despite the fact that some were Republicans and some were Democrats and some were independents, all of them shared this belief that's at the core of the American experience, that binds us together. The idea that no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what you look like, this place, America, is a place where you can make it if you try. Allows you to achieve your dreams. We don't expect handouts. children an education that gives them an even better shot than you have. And we're here today for the same reason that so many of us came together in 2008. Because this basic bargain, this core American dream, is at risk. And it's been at risk like never before. For more than a decade before I was sworn in, it had been slipping away from too many hard-working people. Jobs and factories were shipped overseas. Folks at the top were doing better than ever, but middle-class families saw their paychecks get small, saw their bills get bigger. And in Washington, trillions were spent on 2 wars, 2 tax cuts that took us from record surpluses to record deficits, while on Wall Street, a culture of anything goes led to the worst financial and economic crisis since the Great Depression. Ever since I first ran for this office, I've said that it will take more than 1 year, or 1 term, or even 1 president to restore the dream of this country.
Yes, you did.
Obviously, the crisis that we went through made it that much harder. But for those cynics who say that our best days are behind us, they haven't witnessed the everyday courage and the character of the American people. They have not met the small business owners in Minnesota who chose to sacrifice some of their own perks and pay just to avoid laying off a single worker during the recession. They haven't met those folks in the auto plants in Michigan and Ohio. And we're never supposed to build another car again, but now they can't build it fast enough. That I meet in North Carolina or Ohio, in their 50s sometimes, decided that when one industry left town, they'd go back to school. One woman I met, she started going back to community college to study biotech, which is in her mid-50s. So she's sitting there with all these kids, and I talked to her about why she decided to go back to school. She said, not only do I expect that this will help me get a job, but also because she said, I want to make sure that my kids know never to give up on their dreams.
Amen.
So there are no quick fixes. There are no easy solutions to some of the challenges we face, but there is no doubt that we have the capacity to meet them.
Thank you.
We've got the world's best workers, world's best entrepreneurs. We've got the best scientists, we've got the best researchers. We've got the best colleges and universities. We are a young nation. And we've got the greatest diversity of talent and ingenuity that comes from every corner of the globe. You can see it here in Oakland. No matter States of America. So I continue to feel as optimistic, as hopeful about capacity for us to institute meaningful change as I ever have been. What's standing in our way right now, despite all the progress we've made, despite the health care bill that we passed, despite Wall Street, what's holding us back right now is not the lack of big ideas, it's what's going on in Washington. It's an uncompromising view. And the only path forward is to go back to the same top-down economics that got us into this mess in the first place. My opponent's entire plan, his whole plan for economic renewal, is more tax cuts for the wealthy, more regulation, eliminating regulations for banks and corporations that we put in place after the crisis, cutting more investments in things like education and research, and somehow this is supposed to create jobs and prosperity for everybody. That's what Mitt Romney believes, that's what his allies in Washington believe. But here's the problem. We tried that, and it didn't work. It's not this country was not built from the top down.
Thank you.
It was